The following is a presentation of Muddy River News.
Hello.
Hello, sorry.
We're here now. Don't be sorry.
Working.
Why are you apologizing?
Let me get my head in the
Don't
game.
apologize.
Hello,
nothing
happy
to
Wednesday.
apologize
This
for.
is different. So we normally do it Thursdays, and
Yeah.
it's kind of nice though.
Frankie's somewhere.
Yeah, Frankie,
So
we're gonna
Brittany's
miss
here.
you, but Brittany is gonna kill it. So, yeah,
Brittany's supporting democracy with her T-shirt today.
love
Everyone's
it.
right to go vote.
Yeah, love it. So how's everybody's week going so far?
It's busy. It's been a very busy news week. Lots of things going on.
Yep.
Obviously, what you guys talked about on the Daily
A lot of
Muddy
crazy stuff.
was
I didn't
bad, and then
realize
we
there's
had the
so much
blessing
shit
stuff.
going
and
on.
yeah, it's been. I mean, for a business perspective, the reader numbers are through the roof this week, but still.
I guess that's what happens when you have newsworthy stuff,
Yeah.
but it sucks nonetheless. So the blessing thing is like they just laid a bunch of people off via email, or did I read that right?
Yeah, some, but no. I mean, they tried to
Okay.
talk to as many people as they could. But
Okay.
yeah, it was. It's it's not a
Crappy
great deal. So so if you know anybody who works there, obviously there are area's largest employer, so lots of people are going to know lots of people who work there.
Yeah.
So, but between that and then the zombie apocalypse, which is coming.
Seriously?
According to Capital Facts, the political newsletter, it says that Illinois is one of the most likely places to have the zombie apocalypse.
Okay.
Probably sixth place
Does it
is
say
what's
why?
the place. Because I guess Illinois people taste good. I don't know.
No, it says it's because. Read the article.
I did read the article. I was making a joke.
Okay, but it's because why? It
In this
against
part?
it goes against zombie canon, really, because it says it's due to the graves, like the number of graves per
Okay.
space.
Okay.
But everyone
like
knows
per
that,
capita,
yeah,
like Woodlawn. Yeah. Okay.
for the most part.
Yeah.
But everyone knows that that's not how zombies work. Like
Yeah.
the most dangerous zombies are the ones that just turned. And as time goes on, zombies fall apart. So like
Yeah.
the ones in the graves aren't what we are worried about.
Yeah.
It's people.
Yeah.
Well, according to,
Well,
I
and
think
like,
New York's number one
of course
population.
it is.
yeah, I would say
New
And then
York,
California.
Pennsylvania, Ohio,
Ohio.
then California, Texas, Illinois.
Oh Lord.
You have to travel as far. And the population density in Ohio, they're all spread out in California.
All right. So if
Easier
there was
targets.
a zombie apocalypse, would you guys like try to survive it, or are you just gonna be like bite
I
me?
have been
I'm
ready
done.
for the zombie
Really?
apocalypse since I saw The Walking Dead.
That-
What's your
That's so
defense
funny.
mechanism?
Guns.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
I mean,
don't you have to chop
isn't
off their heads?
I don't know. I think you can just shoot them in the head in
Okay.
some places. But
I need to study up on my zombies before this apocalypse because I don't know jack about zombies or how to survive. I will say I did there's this thing called like the water bob. It's like you fill up your bathtub with this thing for fresh water. I don't know. It's popped up on my Instagram, so I'm like, well, if nothing else, I'll have fresh water. I might be a zombie who doesn't need it, but I'll have fresh water.
But anyway, yes, there's multiple links here that I will put on the bottom of the clip here today that you can all click to see. It's fun stuff.
Yeah,
So,
that's interesting. Yeah, I definitely need to study up.
so the zombie apocalypse is one thing that we're preparing for as well.
Okay.
The other thing is that we had talked about with the election coming up, and actually this is kind of a post-election thing, is the Safety Act thing.
Yeah.
With the no cash bail. I had this interview with Josh Jones that I thought explained it really well. Josh did a really good job. There were some other things though that you talked to Josh though, and there were some
Yes,
other things you talked about.
I had a phone a friend with Josh because
Good.
I was, I have a ton of questions just like
I
everyone
still
else.
have them. Yeah, and I watched the interview, and it was a great interview, but it sounds like he doesn't have a lot of answers either.
Nobody does.
So,
I
sorry.
think- Well, I mean, I know that some of it is that, I guess what is the Safety Act?
Yeah.
Like in layman's terms, I think it's
An act to eliminate cash bail.
which is one of the 7 categories of it. But that's the one I
Okay.
think that they're focusing on right now is
Okay.
the eliminate cash bail.
Yeah.
Which
For non-violent.
Well, there's
offenses or-
a small list of crimes in which you can still have cash bail for, but
And-
there are some inconsistencies in that.
yeah, and that's what I think. I know that Illinois is signing on. They're one of the 52 out of 102 counties
Adams is one of the 52 and 102 in Illinois to try to sign off on to change it. And the governor.
Well, it's not to change it. I think it's just they're questioning whether or not it's constitutional, is what
Correct.
the big thing was. Because in the Constitution it says everyone has to be, or there's a right for everyone to have cash bail.
Oh, it says that?
Yes.
Okay.
So the Safety Act came in. That's when I think the way that like I understood it was like our great governor and then who was it? Mr. T came together and they parted ways in the sky.
Yeah.
Parted the clouds.
Okay.
They said, "I pity the fool
Yeah.
that has to
sit in
that
jail.
has to post bail,
Yeah.
cash bail."
Okay, well, here's the thing, though. Like, I'm not trying to interrupt because I want to hear more
No,
about it.
that's all.
Because
that's
I
all
love it.
That's all I
but
know.
you know, whatever happened to if you can't do the time, don't do the crime. And kind of along with that, if you can't pay the fine, don't do the crime.
Yeah.
Because if you do something, I don't pity you for having to sit in jail because you can't afford to pay
I feel the
your
same.
bail. I mean, that's just what it is. I don't care if it's selling drugs. I don't care what it is. If you're doing
agree.
something that you know is against the law, you have to be prepared to either pay money to get out before your trial, or you have to sit there, right?
Yes.
That's what this is. Why? What is the point of this? Because they're
You
saying
explain, 'cause I can't.
Because there are legislators and the people, some in the governor's office, who feel it is biased toward people who are poor.
oh, for shit's sake, get out of here. Are we kidding here?
No, that's what it is.
Yeah.
It's for equality.
Because it's because of course the rich.
Oh, we have
White
all
guy-
lost our damn minds.
The rich white guy can afford
Which is why
to
the
get
zombie
out, but the
apocalypse
poor
is going to happen.
minorities
Yeah.
can't. That's sort of then the argument for that the people of the proponents have been for is like, look, this isn't fair. All these other guys can put up this money, but there's so many of us who can't afford this, and that's kind of where they're going with it.
Don't go rob somebody if you can't afford. Oh my gosh, this
robbing,
is so
if you
crazy.
rob
Robbery,
somebody-
though.
No, robbery. It has to be armed robbery to be a crime where you have to post. Yes, I don't want to promote all the crimes. That
No,
you can get
yeah.
away
We
with
don't.
right
We
now.
don't need to tell people what
It would
when they
blow
don't have
your
to.
mind.
That is
some
insane.
of the things.
What's the
that-
definition of armed robbery? Because these are deadly weapons.
Nope, that doesn't work.
You wish.
If I talked to Josh said if somebody, well, okay, this is his understanding too.
Mm-hmm.
Again, this is all questionable. So if somebody pushes you, takes your purse, runs off with your purse,
Mm-hmm.
and then they get caught, they don't, that doesn't work. It doesn't
Yeah.
work like that. They don't have to post cash bail, so hold on to your purses.
Oh my gosh.
Well, I don't carry. Well, I guess I carry a bag, but I don't. If
Now,
somebody
if
takes it,
they
I'll be upset.
pushed you over and they had a weapon, and you could prove that they had a weapon, then
Yeah.
then that's a different story.
So it's kind of like, there seems like there's a lot of unanswered questions. Nobody really understands it well enough to really put it in place, I guess would
I
be
think-
that's a problem,
But
right?
it's happening. It's
January.
in place.
The governor and the legislature have talked about during veto session, which comes in after the election, when there are many of the legislators who are lame ducks who didn't run for re-election or may have even been voted out. They'll have a session in November to bring up issues, and this is probably going to be one of the issues, and it's going to get tweaked and taken, and there are going to be some changes made to it before it actually takes offense on January 1st. Now,
to clean it up. Is
yes,
What you're saying.
but if they have the proponents have all said it, just because when January 1st hits, the jail doors are not going to fly open. They have been adamant about that. Josh is very. He's like, I don't know that. That's what they say, but we don't know that.
I don't
So
think anybody knows
yeah, because
anything. I mean,
you're going to look at this, and people who are people who are following along with this in jail are going to say, hey, I'm getting out because I didn't do that and I'm good.
yeah.
And there are people who've been sitting in jail for a long, long time waiting on trial because of COVID and the problems with the legal system and shortages and all that. We've had, the wheels of justice have never turned slower.
Yeah.
So there are cases that are there have been some pretty extreme
And
cases.
then it's like the unconstitutional of the right to a speedy trial.
Yes.
So then
Yes.
at what point Yeah, I can't get on board with any of this. I just don't understand it.
Yeah, but if you know, there's
seems
one thing
ridiculous.
in which if it's been the states that's been pushing you back, but if you're the one, like in the case of Bradley Yon, who we had another story on this week, if you are the one who constantly puts up your own delays, you're the reason you don't have a speedy trial. But you know, there are people who want the speedy trial and just say get this over with. But we've got so many defendants now who are going in and they're making guilty pleas, and then like weeks later they're like, I want to retract my guilty plea for whatever reason. There's just been a lot of that going on lately. We had that with Karen Blackledge. We've got that coming up with Mario Mason, who was a guy who was arrested for kidnapping a woman and taking her to Arkansas, I think. So we've had a lot of those. There's been a lot of really strange cases.
So would he be out on no cash bail?
No,
because that's a bad one.
Something to do with
Okay.
That's bad
Kidnapping
enough.
is bad enough.
Kidnapping is bad enough.
Okay.
Yes.
sex
Yeah.
crimes. Those go in.
Yeah.
So it's
But you
kind
know
of
that meme that you've been seeing on Facebook floating around. I don't know if you saw it, like where it says, "Come January 1st," you know, all these things that are going to happen. Which
Yeah.
I kind of think, you know, that's where it led to the zombie apocalypse.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I think for the most part, that meme isn't true. I mean, at least that's what I was
What?
explaining.
A meme not being true? What?
I don't know. I'm believing him more and more. I think, you know, a lot of people do call me like conspiracy theorists and whatever, zombie apocalypse, whatever. But it's like realism anymore because everything is so, it's unbelievable, but it's happening. And it's like, how do you even rationalize any of this? I just don't understand where this even, who sat in a room and said, you know what? It's not fair for these people who are committing crimes to have to sit in jail.
And people that
Who
call you
says
a
that?
conspiracy theorist, that's in general. That's, I know this is off topic, but it's, you know, conspiracy theories. We always talk about this.
Yeah.
And I think people just want to dismiss you. You know, they
Yeah.
want to dismiss.
Because what we're talking about is scary.
And
Because
it's real.
Yeah, what we're talking about,
I know you think I'm crazy when I say that.
Bob, we are crazy, but not because of conspiracies.
Conspiracy theories
Yeah.
nowadays, I think it's just people questioning things.
Yeah.
And then
Right.
it's crazy that, you know.
I would call conspiracy theorists the real woke. Like we are
Yeah.
the awake ones. I mean, I think that it's to the point where you're like, you have to expect anything and everything and be ready for anything and everything. Like I said, like I need to prepare for the zombie apocalypse. I'm not
do.
saying it's good, but you know,
Don't
it's
dismiss
insane.
it.
I'm not dismissing anything. I mean, at this point, I just don't dismiss. I don't dismiss anything. But I just want to know who's sitting in a room talking about this kind of stuff and making these things important.
Well, it really-
I mean, there are
Illinois
so-
Senate Democrats,
I know, but
those
there
ones
are
who
so
are from
many,
Chicago.
like, more
That's
important issues. Like in my
It really wasn't Mr. T.
no,
it was
was
somebody
gonna
else
say, I
from
really like
Chicago.
that
Although
guy.
he was from Chicago,
Yeah.
remember, in the show.
I mean, so my thing would be like, okay, there are big issues, right? We're focused on criminals getting a fair shake. We're not worried about kids who don't have a meal to eat. I mean, I feel like with the amount of power and money in this world, there should not be a hungry child anywhere, especially in the United States of America, right?
Yes.
But we're focused on the wrong things for the wrong reason, and it is just purely, in my mind, to get votes. Now, I can't be the only one who sees through this, right? I know you guys probably see through it, and it's got to be to the point where even the blue, you know, the blue camp has got to be thinking, what the hell are we doing? Like, why are we?
Well, they just the liberal solution's always been just throw more money at the problem. That's just the way it's always been. I mean, look at schools, for example. Look at the Chicago schools, which have been given so much money, and they have some of the worst test results in the country. And kids aren't graduating, kids aren't learning. But the Chicago Teachers Union and the Chicago School Districts just wants more money, and they're getting more money, and they're not producing results.
Yeah.
Now, you know, school, and people will complain about our local school system. We still have a pretty good school system here. We really do. And our kids are learning, and I think for the most part they do a good job of taking care of problems. But there are some school districts out there that really need some oversight and really need somebody to crack the whip on them. And Chicago's obviously one of them. And Chicago is its own, you know, remember the Chicago public schools are their own separate entity.
Yeah.
You have the downstate schools, and then you have the Chicago schools. And then the
doesn't
Chicago School Board is also, all of those members are appointed by the mayor of Chicago as well. So, yeah, it's political.
In Chicago, they also did this thing where everybody, I forget what it's called, like something to do with their salary, or like everybody's guaranteed. It's like a guaranteed income.
Universal basic income.
Yeah. Which is what? So everybody just gets money for not doing anything because they're in Chicago, which is disgusting to me. How much money is it?
I don't remember.
It's like $500 or something at least a week or something like that. Just for being a Chicagoan who doesn't do shit. Isn't this, I just can't even saying it out loud is insanity. It's insanity. Let's reward people for doing nothing because we want to create a society that relies on government handouts and then in turn votes for this government. It's a vicious cycle and it does nothing for the good of humanity.
And and you've got all these businesses and all these people who need workers and who need helpers and who can't keep help. And you've got, like I said, we just had this case where we had a major employer lay off a bunch of people, and hopefully they'll be able to, hopefully they'll all be able to go find jobs and, get back on their feet and do, what they need to do to take care of their families. But you've got so many, and then I know, and also though, I know not every business owner is perfect either, and there are a lot of bad business owners out there, but there are also a lot of really good ones too.
And so, I'm not a fan of corporate, so when I say, because you always get the argument of, well, why are you complaining about $500 to an individual when corporations, I don't agree with that either, just to be clear.
Yeah.
I think big corporate.
There's when boards are, skimming profit margins and shipping jobs overseas, but their CEOs are getting, $10 million bonuses.
Yeah.
Obviously, that's not right. That is not right at all. And that crap happens all the time.
And there has to be a way to balance it. And this is just like my pie in the sky. There's got to be a better way. I mean, there should be, I'm not saying I'm totally for free enterprise and, I'm all for it. But there has to be a way to balance. You shouldn't have a kid who's starving and a guy who's a billionaire. There has to be some balance there. And then you can't reward people for being criminals and you can't reward people for being lazy. And I don't know how it's harder than that. I know that, but there's got to be something.
Yeah.
And I know I totally digress there.
No. It's all, it absolutely all fits together. So, again, we've got, this great community here that we all love and have all been here all of our lives, if not most of our lives, or at least in this general area. And, we see, when there's problem, like I said, the county and the city are looking at the housing issue and, making sure that's taken care of because with also needing workers, all of these companies are saying, well, you got people coming in and they can't find a place to live that's not, either bad or $500,000. Yeah. There is a real need out there for houses to be built in that $150,000, $200,000 range. There's also a need for better condos, apartments, and that thing too. So because younger generations aren't buying houses, they want nice lofts and apartments and condos and whatever.
Sure.
So
which we have a lot of potential, especially downtown. I mean, it's potential is everywhere. Well, it's just you got to find the landlord because now with all the rules for landlords and things that are coming in with that, it's
but they haven't. Those have been kind of put on the back. I mean, there's been a focus on it, but they haven't put a lot of hard, fast new rules in.
Yeah.
But it's still, people are still watching. That's for sure. But we were Ellen and I were with some friends in Herman this weekend, and I joked to my friends when we were all out, at the winery or the brewery or wherever we were on that weekend. It was lovely, just beautiful.
Awesome.
That. This is what the downtown area and all of what Herman is what Quincy wants to be.
Sure. And
Herman's got the peg of the wineries, and they've got like a dozen wineries all over in and around the town. And a lot of them you have to go out of the town, and there's only a couple downtown. But the downtown core area is just so cool. And on Friday night and Saturday, all day Saturday, it was just packed.
Yeah.
And it will be all month because they do October, we have our, our local Oktoberfest, which was, of course, they have with the parade and we have with the thing that the Rotary does and all that. But Herman just does this. I mean, again, it's because they've built a niche. They have a reason, and it's the wineries, and it's all the cool bed and breakfasts and other places you can go to.
Yeah, it just boils down to a dedication to focus on what you want it to be.
Yeah.
And I think Quincy's moving in the right direction, but it's going to take time, and we don't have...
I think Quincy just needs to be Quincy too. Like you just said that they have all these things. And you just said that Quincy wants to be these things, but I don't know. I think I just share a different vision where I think Quincy just needs to be Quincy, and we need to appreciate what it is we have.
Right.
And stop modeling to be Little Chicago or Herman, Missouri that has that.
Yeah.
Right.
We need to focus on what it is that we do have.
Yeah.
And make those events better
Yeah.
or
Yes.
bigger
Yeah.
or things like that.
And we
Yeah.
have people that are focusing on that and doing things like that. I think it's called Experience Quincy. So
Yeah.
they've started, the things that are, creating kind of a vortex of positive change, not huge changes, that we can't really afford or apply resources to because we're struggling with that like everybody else is. But it is movements in the right direction. So, I appreciate that. And I think Quincy, we have a ton of potential. I do agree with both sides.
Yeah.
We can be bigger, but we have to probably do it in baby steps because we do need to figure out our identity.
niche.
We need to figure out who we want to be.
Yes.
Because I think we've gone from, the manufacturing Rivertown to that's all gone. Not all, thank God. But what do we want that to look like? And I know that there have been some studies and not everybody agrees, and that's fine. But, making some decisions on what we want to, where we want to fill the need while also supporting our current community and citizens in a way that we're not, alienating them for tourists that we're probably not getting right now. So,
Well, and like I said, also at Herman, the other thing they have is the Amtrak between St. Louis, Columbia, and Kansas City stops right there.
Yeah.
Downtown.
huge.
Yeah.
And
That is big.
we watched the college kids and everybody stream off the train
Yeah.
coming from St. Louis and Columbia, and again, it's easy. It's an easy destination
Sure.
for three pretty good sized metropolitan areas
Yeah.
in Kansas City, St. Louis, and Columbia. To
Right.
just go to Little Herman and party all weekend. Or just for the day if you're just going to take the train and then go back to
Yeah.
your apartment or your frat house in Columbia.
we're pretty easy to get to as well. I think we just need to, you need to start like a shuttle service or something, Bob's.
No, Bob is not.
Bob's
bus.
Bob's Booze Bus.
Bob's
do
Booze
it.
Bus is not happening. And again, I know that our train station is out in the middle of BFE, and I know some places have wanted to bring it downtown, and that's a whole process.
And we have the tracks. Are they not? I don't know how you would even manage
It's a whole
that.
thing with
Yeah.
Burlington Northern, and
Okay.
it was
Gotcha.
talked about a few years ago, and
Okay.
I know I know there's still a push to try to make that happen, but it's
That would be super cool.
it's hard.
Traveling down the river
Well,
on-
especially when you
yeah,
look
that'd
at,
be so cool.
down like if you go to downtown Normal, with this huge train station they have, and we had some federal dollars set aside for that a few years ago, and there just wasn't the will to make that happen because, again, with the whole deal with the train and where it was going to go and where the station was going to go, and
Yeah.
again, that could be cool. But then again, the other thing is once that train lets off at 10 o'clock at night, there has to be something open.
Yeah.
There has to be something there,
Right, right.
and the streets rolling up at 9 o'clock isn't the way to make that happen.
Yeah, yeah.
So, it's like, okay, I'm off
But you
this
got to
train.
do what comes first, the chicken or the,
Right.
so it's kind of like, okay, we got to get people here before we expect these shops to open
Yeah.
and stay open, but we want to get the people here, and how do we do that?
It's
Well,
like
we
when
gotta have
people
shops
take the
open,
train
so.
now and they come here, they pretty much, for business, they pretty much know, okay, I'm going straight to my hotel room because there's absolutely nothing going on.
Yeah.
The bar.
Or to the bar if if they're staying at a hotel with a bar or whatever. But they're it's tough. Train gets there at 10:20 or whatever. It's real tough to go find and get something to eat. I mean, a lot of
Yeah.
fast food, especially if it's during the week. So
Yeah.
there's a lot of things that we have going for us. Again, with some of the things that are coming in are going to help as well.
Quincy's amazing.
Yeah. So
We need to buckle down on these a-holes who think they can come in and like these violent offenses, and I don't know how you do that, but I just can't believe people are. So like this nightclub thing. So Gen Z, this is all new to me. Just real quick, this Gen Z, I didn't even know what the hell it was. Okay, so evidently it's the old Hot Shots or
Twilight Zone.
Okay,
Complex,
Was it
Twilight
Hot Shots?
Zone, whatever. It's been
way
85.
back there.
It's been 85
But
different things.
Can you imagine? I don't know, like with everybody having guns and like almost being like, I don't know. I feel like everybody's
Packing.
yeah, and traumatized and violence and blah blah. I mean, I just can't imagine having the courage to even like start shit with somebody without thinking I might get shot. Like you have to go in with the, I might get shot. I mean, I'm not going to start anything with anybody anyway.
But if
because
you've
I'm
had enough alcohol in you, you're not thinking
like, I'll
clearly
smack
sometimes.
it.
Your deadly weapons.
Yeah. No, but I mean, like, that's one thing that I know every even small city has. You have people who make poor decisions, and unfortunately, terrible outcomes, happen. But I feel terrible for the businesses that have to deal
That's
with,
what I think.
yeah, with the.
Yeah.
with the negative stigma that comes with being, you know, a
in a
nightclub
small
or
town and-
yeah.
And
It's
again,
like-
it's just, but you know, and it's like, you know, people complain that, oh, why'd you say our name? Well, it's where it happened.
Yeah.
I mean,
It's not- yeah,
you're
it's
trying to
nothing-
just give a,
yeah.
you know, an identifier to let people know, hey, this
Right.
is indeed where it happened.
So now the guy who stabbed somebody or whatever, would he have cash bail?
No, because
A knife doesn't count?
well, god dang it.
See. So lawmakers, I feel like
I'm
we need
pretty
to
sure-
iron this out before January
I'm
because
pretty
this is
sure
going
if
to
he's
leave a lot to
threat
question.
to himself or others. I mean, I would consider that being a threat.
I would
to
consider
Yeah, but
that,
you have to
yes.
argue that, right? In
think
court
so.
for the judge to have to place
the public
that is
or
just
the
insane.
prosecuting attorney, state's
So,
attorney would go.
This is
my
going to take a
case."
lot longer, right? I
Yeah.
mean, now we're going to clog it up even more because judges have to make this call on, and then the attorneys have to go in and fight against it or for
Kind of
it.
taking away the judge's discretion, if anything. Like that's
That's one of Josh Jones's arguments is that the judges have less discretion now
they don't
in order
really
to do.
get to decide this. It's kind of
But an
is what
attorney
it
has to
is.
go in and argue that this guy now is not a threat to the community or himself or a flight risk, right? So, because otherwise you're just going to say, well, the guy who stabbed this other guy, well, he just gets to go home. That guy,
I mean, I think
if I were that guy, I'd be out of this country. I mean,
Yeah, I mean, yeah. Obviously, if
that's-
somebody,
which I guess, yeah, go for it. See you later. We
Yeah.
don't want you here anyway.
but again, I think that if you know that the other thing they were trying to stress was that there not that many are actual flight risks. But I think if they have the opportunity now, they might become those numbers
Well, the
might go
next
up.
step,
There's
the
a
next
lot
step is going to be
more.
like, you know what? We're not going to have cash bail because we feel sorry that you can't afford it, and we're also going to give you $500 because we feel bad that you can't flee. Right? I mean,
Here's your
again,
monopoly money
Yeah, I don't put anything
Okay.
past.
with a get out of
Any
jail
of
free
this.
card and your
Yeah.
$200 for passing go.
Yep,
Here
and
you
here's
go.
some gas money. We'll see you later. Come back when you're hungry. I mean, yeah, it's insane. I'm sorry, I'm not making light of it, but there's nothing else to do. You have to laugh at it.
It's kind of all you can. do.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's just
Scary.
It is scary.
Well, and again,
It's
I think
insanity.
you know when again talk kind of the bar thing as we wrap up here. I think it's with in your profession and you being out late night sometimes that's
scary.
it's scary
It's a
for
risk.
you, and we're you're our friend, so it's like we want you to be safe, and I think the establishments you work for should take all the precautions necessary to make sure nothing happens. And you back in the day when you were slinging drinks, kind of the same way.
What if I
It's like,
tase somebody? Do I get cash bail?
tase?
Because tasers are illegal, I think,
They're illegal.
in Illinois. I think so.
I think if you can prove that, they're illegal. Never mind.
I don't know. Yeah, that's what I mean. I don't know. But
You have
I
to
mean,
have a FOID card for a
but
taser.
I'm sure that. I don't know. It's just.
Oh.
we got some things to iron out,
Yeah.
lawmakers, before
There is good
January.
news today,
And
though.
I want a list
I need a whole document
in layman's
so I can say, look,
terms.
before I commit this crime.
We are going to. I'm gonna. In November, I think this would be something that would warrant us actually, going to Springfield and sitting in some of the sessions and
Yeah.
doing some stuff. I've been kind of thinking about that. I think
Yeah.
that'd be pretty cool and kind of seeing where they are on that. So,
Yeah, that would be cool.
there is one good note of good news to end this
love that,
podcast
yeah.
on. Is Yingling beer is coming to Missouri.
Boom. Really?
Yes.
don't
My
have
da-
to
my
travel
dad
to
doesn't
Indiana
have to.
anymore?
Indiana.
Wisconsin?
David, Wisconsin?
I don't know.
That's
What am
Spotty
I
Cow.
thinking of? Oh.
You're thinking of Spotty Cow. This is Yingling, which
Yeah.
is pretty good too. It's
Yeah,
brewed in
yeah,
Pennsylvania,
yeah, okay.
but they have it in Florida. And my mom and dad, when they come back from Florida, they always bootleg me up a couple cases. No need for that anymore. It'll be over at Hannibal. Just zip across the river. It's good news.
There you go.
So
So everybody can get it while they're over there getting their gas and cigs, since
Exactly.
nobody can afford anything in Illinois.
true.
There you go.
Yes. So
I didn't mean to
another reason.
totally flip your good
No,
thing around.
another reason that the Missouri is a great state. It's
It
God's
is.
country and
we're right next
land
door.
of my birth. So
yeah,
it's all
we're
good.
like, hey neighbor, we're coming to get your stuff. Yeah, that's awesome.
And we might not go to Hannibal for a couple of days. We're gonna let things cool down though.
Yeah. Hey,
It's-
nah, Hannibal's
sorry.
good.
Yeah, it is.
Everybody's got a few bad seeds, but we can't let that affect the overall.
Well, speaking of bad seeds, we do miss Frankie. No,
We do.
I'm just kidding. He's not a bad seed. So.
Frankie, hope you're loving life and we're
And you guys, I probably won't be here next week, so you
Yeah.
guys are gonna have to figure out a rotation
We'll
or
hold
whatever
down
there,
for it.
and so take that care of. So,
Yeah.
thank you for sitting in.
Yeah, thanks
Always
for having me.
appreciated. Thank
Yeah.
you for being here as always.
Of course.
On time today,
My
which
pleasure.
is amazing.
I mean,
Well,
I was
kinda on time.
4 minutes late, but who's counting?
All right, that's all for Club Buddy today. Have a great week.
Thanks.
Thanks.
To the beat, let's go, 'cause this is our jam. This is our jam.
Muddy River News. Our home, our news.